Welcome to Our New Story, a podcast exploring the lives and voices of New Health employees in the heart of rural Northeastern Washington. Join us as we delve into their experiences, from navigating the unique challenges and rewards of rural healthcare to discovering the joys of living and working in this vibrant community. Every episode is a chance to connect with the people behind the scenes, hear their stories, and learn what makes New Health truly special.
All right, and welcome back to another episode of Our New Story. I'm your host, Jacob Daving. We have a super special episode for you today. We're including Tim Slater, a Helpdesk Lead, with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Wonderful. Well, Tim, what does a Helpdesk Lead do?
Well, a Helpdesk Lead leads the help desk. What does that mean? I mean, it's a process of managing your personnel and their time, managing our ticket system and the basically IT client response. So when there's a ticket that comes in, what is the process for that? So a help desk lead organizes that, because it could be potentially a little bit chaotic in that environment. So it's mainly just focusing everybody on kind of our prioritization, and then taking care of them, my guys, making sure that they have everything they need and the tools that they need to accomplish the tasks.
Okay. Perfect. Well, more on that to come. But Tim, you are a local of Colville, Washington, so I hear.
Yes.
So could you
local
please
of the area?
Yes.
Yeah.
So please tell me what it was like growing up in Eastern Washington.
Well, I mean, it was great. Obviously, we really appreciate the area and what it offers. It really is home. I've been around the world, and everywhere I go, I kind of always find things. If something's really beautiful or naturally beautiful, I always go, well, that reminds me of Northeast Washington.
Yeah,
that reminds me of home. And
yeah.
So there's that connection to the natural landscape, I think, that people have grown up here, but just also the connection you have to the folks that live in this area, people that I grew up with. We still keep in touch. It's kind of a tight knit area. And, we grew up, or my siblings and I grew up over on the Addie Gifford Road, up a place called Daisy Mine, and another road up farther, Old Baldy Road. And we were so far out that we, before it was really cool, before that, people got on the bandwagon of alternative energy and living off the grid. We were doing that before it was cool.
Really?
Yeah. So it was off the grid living for my whole childhood, basically. And yeah, it was interesting, but we still got all the exposure, to any normal things. We got to see what all the other kids were living with,
Yeah.
And, growing up, I spent a lot of time on 49 up here. My dad was on the ski patrol, and that was kind of a way that we could afford to ski because he was a teacher. So we got our seasons passes, and we spent all the winters up on 49 up until about 13, 14. I discovered the sport of wrestling, and it started taking my winters. But yeah, that's basically what we did around here was I started snowboarding. I'm the black sheep of the family.
Okay, that was going to be my next question.
A family of skiers, they looked down on that. But for a while, until I was blowing past them on my snowboard, then they stopped talking.
Okay, yes.
Not that they stopped talking to me, but almost.
There's that relationship between skiers and snowboarders, though. There really is. Yeah. So along with that, you have a lot of experiences in Eastern Washington. So if someone was thinking about moving here, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them, hopefully you really, value the outdoors. Maybe you enjoy hunting or hiking or something. See something that, that you like and seize hold of that. And I think you'll find it to be very enjoyable here.
Yeah. No, I mean, everyone I've talked to that really enjoys living here takes advantage of that nature piece. Yeah. Even if it's not going on hikes or camping, just like outside today, it's a beautiful day. Our administration building is right at the hill, the 49 degrees hill. So we have a beautiful view at Quartzsite, and just being able to kind of soak in that beauty.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an amazing part of every day.
It really is.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, I want to start kind of transitioning over to your career pathway. I got a lot to ask you about this. Yeah. So why don't we start coming out of high school? Where did you go directly from high school?
I went to WSU. So while I was in high school, I started, I took the ASVAB. That was kind of one thing that got my attention. I happened to score pretty high on that.
And what is that?
So the ASVAB is the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test. And it's given to high school students, I believe, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, I believe can all take it anyway. So you take it, and then it basically just kind of shows what your aptitude would be in these different areas. I think there's 12 categories or maybe 10. But I had these recruiters, all branches kind of knocking on my door and sort of, actually coming to my house and seeing me. And I tried to get them to kind of go away. So I told them, that I was going to do ROTC, or I told them I'm going to college, and they said, well, you should do ROTC. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Well, that worked out perfectly then.
And so that's kind of a roundabout way of how it ended up happening. But I did have some goals, and I had some things I wanted to do, and I wanted to be a pilot. And so I thought, the Air Force ROTC is where, that's where I ended up going. So that's how I ended up in WSU. And it was a really great time. I was in a flying club there. I have my private pilot's license. And
really?
So, I got to do some things that I wanted to do, and it was really exciting,
And when you go into college and you're a part of ROTC, is that your major, or do you kind of talk a bit about that?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I actually got a scholarship on a technical degree to go for a computer science major.
Okay.
And so when you get a technical degree scholarship, basically, they were giving those out. They just wanted people to have a technical degree. And if you're an electrical engineer or computer science, probably a mechanical engineer, really any engineering or anything like that, they wanted you.
Okay.
And you were going to get your college paid for,
okay,
and everything was going to be fine. So that's what I did. And it was great, except I realized, people can lay out a path for you that you may not enjoy, or you may not really find that to be your path. Yeah. So I did about 2 years of that. I was talking to my commandant of cadets and some other advisors that you have kind of in the mix, and they were saying, if you don't like doing this, you can change your major. I mean, you'll have to pay for the last 2 years, but they said, ultimately, a lot of people do that, and they will find it when you're, a commissioned officer in the Air Force, to find it easier to pay off. And those last 2 years may not even be a big deal to you, eventually. So I said, so I kicked that around, and I decided that, going for a pilot slot, going for, wanting to get good grades, trumps kind of, at that time in my mind, it trumped the degree that I was getting,
Yes.
Or the degree that I was struggling to get, I should say. So I ended up switching to political science, of all things, which in reality, I wouldn't say it was as useless as I sometimes joke that it was, but there are certain settings where its usefulness comes out, mainly like it'll rear its ugly head at parties and things, or all of a sudden my political science knowledge comes up, and people are like, but no, I'm just kidding. But really, it did tie in a lot to several things I did while I was in the Air Force, which helped kind of just with the broader understanding of global situations, governances, other countries, their backgrounds, things like that. Yeah. And so it was not a technical degree in the end, but my love for technology always was there, and it showed itself throughout the rest of my career.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you graduate from WSU with that poli-sci degree. What's the next jump from there?
So then I went to they sent me to a series of other training, basically after you commission.
The Air Force?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once I commissioned as a second lieutenant, then I went to Alabama for about 6 weeks, and then I went to Georgia to do some pilot training there. But ultimately, pilot training didn't really work out for me. I ended up getting washed out of pilot training.
Okay.
And it was a long story, but it's very rigorous and very difficult. And once I started to get behind at a certain point, I was basically doing 2 different sections at one time, like advanced aerobatics and like night navigation.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
actually, I think it was just navigation in general, but yeah, it was tough. So they want, you're basically like 99% scores or better, or, if you're like a 98 or something, that's how they start to get it down. We had 10 available slots out of my 15.
Okay.
And I was I was like the 11th person there for a while. And then
right on that mark.
Yeah. So after that, when pilot training didn't work out, I had a couple of options. I could have, found a reserve unit and actually left active duty because they were kind of talking about that. I didn't really want to do that. So I said, well, I'll just cross train. What are some other opportunities? And of course, if you get yourself into that boat, you're going to go security forces.
Okay.
That's the way the Air Force works. So the Air Force security forces is more or less there to be the infantry, to be the everything that the Air Force might need.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I found that to be really interesting, and I got to do a lot of different things, go to a lot of different places, and it was, and believe it or not, it was when you find yourself overseas, especially in like a deployed environment, you don't have all the support that you would imagine like a superpower like the United States would have. And oftentimes our own people have to kind of come up with means and methods and tools to work around, to be flexible and adapt to new situations. So, we ended up being basically like civil engineers.
Wow.
That's a long answer to how I got where the career that I was in. Security forces.
Yes. Well, I mean, it sounds like you had some great experiences though. Okay. So now kind of how do you transition out of the Air Force and what do you transition to?
Yeah, no, great question. So when I was actually in Afghanistan in 2011 when they were going through some force shaping and some things, and they were looking ahead, saying we got too many people in the military. We want to try to figure out how we're going to downsize. So I took that voluntary separation pay program in 2011. So that incurs about a 3-year commitment to what's called inactive ready reserve, and means you just basically keep all your uniforms and everything in working order, and you're kind of like ready, but you're not actually in. That transition was really difficult, honestly, to go from active duty to a civilian, and I couldn't do it fully at first. I had to almost like wean myself off the military life.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. One of the things that I thought about doing when I left active duty was, because you come out of the military with the clearance and you come out with having been a government employee already, it's easy to work for the government again. So I looked at different things, but since I wanted to be in this area, you're pretty much limited to Forest Service and, very limited as far as for what I had, for what I was qualified for. It didn't really fit. So I started looking into other things, and I started going, well, I don't have to work for the government. I can work for really anywhere or do anything.
Yeah.
And it was kind of good and enlightening. One of my former teachers invited me to come talk to his class, and I did. And then
what school was that?
And that was at Colville High School. That was Mr. Noble. Shout out to Mr. Noble. Yeah. He said he was getting ready to retire, and he said I should really look into teaching, and I kind of kicked that around a little bit, but I sort of dismissed it. I will be honest. I was kind of like, I don't think so. I said my dad was a teacher. I saw what that was all about. There's no way I'm doing that, but and so that was kind of it for then. I got into coaching, and I was coaching, and I started doing para education at Colville, and Mr. Noble was still talking to me about, hey, well, I see now you're in the school.
Yeah.
So it's really easy for you to just, transition over, be a teacher. Career and tech ed teaching is a different path than a traditional general ed teacher.
Okay.
So for us, basically, if you think of it like a shop teacher, or, if you were a welder and you did that as a career, for you to become a CTE teacher is actually really pretty easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, it is. Most welders wouldn't want to go be a teacher, though, because they'd be making a lot more money welding.
Right. Yes, that makes yes.
But anyway, that's how they designed it, so that a guy like myself who had a career doing something else could take that, and you just have to show that you had 10,000 hours in that career field. And luckily, out of the years that I had in, it wasn't all electronics or it wasn't all computers, but through the my performance reports and a lot of stuff that I had on record of having done, I was able to say, I clearly have like 10,000 hours in technical related things. So it's a pretty easy transition to the classroom. As far as the jumping through the hoops to get in there, but they don't just let anybody in the classroom, and it's there's a lot of training and a lot of knowledge that you got to get to be an effective teacher. So I enjoyed teaching. I really enjoyed coaching, but after about 8 years of doing those, I decided that I wanted to move on before I got burned out. Okay. I think there's value to that, like recognizing when burnout's happening and going, I could spare everyone having to deal with the burned out Tim.
Okay. It's good you identified that though. Like you can reflect back on your experiences. They were good experiences, but you knew what you had to do moving forward.
Right.
Okay. So you're teaching electronics. Now, how do you become a help desk lead at New Health? What's kind of that transition? What got you interested and aware of New Health?
But yeah, I think eventually IT was a natural bridge for me to move into something, a career that can just tie in with the things that I was dealing with on a regular basis.
It's kind of the common denominator in all of your job roles and your whole pathway. Somewhere in there is technology or an interest for it.
That's very true. Yeah. So it definitely, when it presented itself, the first job that, or the first thing that really got my attention that made me think, I'm going to just try this. Okay. I thought, this may not work, but if you don't give something a shot, you'll never know. Yeah. So and at least I could go through, it might be good practice, So I did an interview with the Kalispell tribe, and I there was a job opening for that would have been basically a help desk technician, but they didn't call it that. They called it client support technician. But I thought, let's just see. And they wanted to hire me. And I thought, well, I wasn't actually ready. I told them, I said, I wasn't really ready to leave my job.
Okay. You were a little before.
I put the cart before the horse, but I said, but now if you're offering me this job, I do want this job, and I will just make sure, because I still had a little bit left in the school year. I was going to obviously finish out. I said, as long as you guys are all right hiring me in the summer, when the school year's over, then let's do this. And they said, all right.
Okay.
And that's how I got in with the Kalispell tribe. And basically that was a great job also. I mean, wonderful place to work. A lot of similarities between there and here with, the way that people are treated. It's a very respectful place to work. I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
So you're a help desk lead at Kalispell, and then when kind of talk a bit about coming to New Health?
Yeah, I guess it was so in the spring of 2023. A year ago. Yeah. I just kind of started thinking about, I guess it was probably maybe March or April. I think I looked at it Indeed. I was like, let me look at Indeed and just see if there's anything. You got to keep your eyes open. And I saw this New Health job. It was just like right away. I didn't even have to peruse. In fact, I didn't apply to one other job. I didn't look at one other job, and that's no joke. Like I just saw this and I was like, well, again, same thing. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. They may not like me.
It's always worth a shot.
And it worked out really well. Okay. So they offered me the help desk lead position, and it was a really great move, I think, because number one, I work with really great people here, and there's something to be said for being able to come to work and have a good working environment. That is like worth, I think, a lot. Yes. For me.
Yes.
I would take that over, some of the other perks that other jobs might offer if I had to deal with other people, I'm like, I like the people I work with, so it's easy.
Okay, perfect. So can you walk us through what a day in the life of a help desk lead is like?
I can. Every day is a little different, to be honest. So a typical day, though, on average, we see about 25 to 30 tickets come in to the help desk.
And can you explain what a ticket is?
Yeah. So a ticket through the help desk portal, there's a means to be able to ask for help is basically what it is. And that ticket will come into the help desk, and it comes in a couple different ways. It comes in as an email, and then it comes in as a in auto task, it actually shows up in our queue as a new ticket. And the help desk lead is going to be pretty important, I think, in analyzing those and assigning and sort of channeling that, handling the queue. So when, it starts at 7 in the morning. Well, when we come in, sometimes we have, voicemails, tickets, things that have already been put in. So we just start on that, on that triage process, finding out who do we have that's in crisis. And some of the crisis are, honestly, lockouts are kind of a big deal in the morning. People need to get into their computer to be able to do their work. And about lockouts.
I personally have some troubles, and I'm always running upstairs till I need some help.
But that's totally normal. That would be a typical day. So there's nothing like abnormal where we're like, what is going on today? It's just kind of we deal with a few of those every morning. And I kind of call it putting out the fires, making sure everybody's okay. And then we kind of move into some of the bigger, or not bigger items, but maybe the items that were more nebulous, weren't so easy to address, or the low-hanging fruit, they call it. We can pick those low-hanging fruit, get them out of the way. So it's prioritizing, and it's making sure people know that what we communicate with them. They get they put in a ticket. They would like to hear something back. So part of my job is communication. Trying to make sure people know that they've been heard and seen, and that we have their ticket and we're working on it. And then a lot of that is just actually following up, because we don't want to give anybody lip service and then they're like, well, you're just giving me lip service. Right. We want to actually do it. So there's a constant circling back around. It happens throughout the whole day, where we don't sit idle. You just can't, you're always either wrapping up something or you're starting something else.
Yes.
And that's about it. So it's very busy. I like the fact that it keeps you on your toes. Okay. There's no no day where you're just kind of like, well, I know exactly how this day is going to go, because you don't. Yeah. And it'll definitely keep you guessing. And there's a lot of times, some of my favorite times are when I get into a situation where I don't have the answer, and I'm like, it kind of puts you back a little bit, and I go, ooh, this is going to be good.
Yes. You got to put on your brainstorming hat.
Like now I'm going to figure something out, and we're going to learn something today. And it's always a great sense of accomplishment when you get done and you're like, wow, like I didn't know something and now I do. So I'm
and you
better
can help
off.
someone with that knowledge now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I mean, it's great to see you're managing people, you're managing tickets, you're helping put out fires. You're really a little bit everywhere in New Health. And I've had the pleasure of working with you and your team, and it is just that. It's a pleasure to work with you guys. And whenever I do have a problem, I know you guys are just a call away. So I thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's our pleasure.
Yes, perfect. What would you say to someone interested in getting into IT? That would be better.
Yeah. Okay. So oftentimes, like when we were talking to the kids the other day, at the careers after school event. Okay. I tell those guys and kids, my own kids who are 14 and 16, they don't really know what they want to do, so we talk about that a lot. And I think it's always important to find your interests first. Okay. Like find your interests first and then build the skills that match those interests. So if you're interested in something, I may not know anything about that area, but I want to, I want to know about it. So that's number one. I think once you have that, build those skills and be patient with yourself, because you're not going to know everything on day one. I mean, you just can't. It takes time, but there's a persistence and a grit I think people have to have too. Like when you're moving into a new career, it's going to take a lot of work to get to know it. And that would be the same if I was. It would be a lot more, I would say, if I was moving into like an actual medical field or something way foreign to me. I'd really have to, I think I could do it, but I would have to buckle down and it would be really hard. And I think it would be hard because I'm not that interested. See,
right. So you start with finding.
If I was interested, I could. Then you can do it. So I just tell kids, if you're interested in, most kids are technology, they gravitate to it because they're comfortable, because they've had it in their hands since they were wee. Those kids have been brought up with technology. They're comfortable and they're interested. So it's easy to kind of sink the hooks in and go, hey, IT is right up your alley, and here's why. Because number one, to be an IT guy, computers have to like you. I mean, let's face it, right? Computers, they don't like certain people.
Yeah. No, and we all know someone, even the viewers, I'm sure you know someone that computers do not like that.
So, kids, generally, even, my mom will go to my kids, grandma asking about certain things, and they'll just help her. Okay. So they have a predisposed help desk in their hearts, They're like, I can help grandma. I can help so-and-so.
Yes, put a ticket in. Grandma, come on, lock a ticket.
And I think when kids sees that and they go, and you can kind of show them that that's basically what you're doing and that's what you're going to be doing. Yeah. Like, just like you've been helping grandma, now you're going to be helping anyone, all kinds of people. And, they might really like that. They might feel comfortable in that, I guess, at first. Whereas, if you how you frame it could make them uncomfortable, and they might go, yeah, I don't think that's for me, Yeah. But the truth is, it is for them. And just like my teacher, Mr. Noble, he told me once, because I told him in I think it was like my first day in his class, I said, I think I'm in the wrong class. He goes, why do you think you're in the wrong class? I said, I don't know what that poster means over there. And it was basically what they call the power wheel, and it had to do with Ohm's law. Okay. Except it threw in Watt's law also in there. So it's the relationship between volts, amps, watts, ohms, and how they all fit in these equations. And I was like, oh, no. I said, I'm in the wrong class. And he goes, I promise you don't have to worry about that right now. But he goes, someday you're gonna know how to use all that, and it'll be a piece of cake. Yeah. And I was like, confidence. Okay. I said, well, yeah, we'll give that a try. And the funny thing is I took that same poster, I put it in my classroom, and I had the same talk with the kids that would come in, and they'd be like, I think I'm in the wrong class. I'd be, because of the poster? You think that poster is going to scare you away?
Full circle.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that getting kids, or getting anyone to find a career that they want to pursue would all come down to what they're passionate about, and what they feel, what they really believe what their real core interests are. Yeah. I think you really have to have it. Because there are times where computers frustrate me. But if I let if that was going to define, my day or what my outlook of my job is, then that wouldn't be good. I'm not going to walk around frustrated. Yeah. Like, computers don't have that power over me.
Yes, that's a great mindset, honestly. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. Well, great. So I want to switch it up and get into a little bit of a game here. So recently we were at an event where we got to talk with some local high school students, show them what different career pathways we have here at New Health. They got an opportunity to talk with a medical doctor, a dentist, a hygienist, as well as Tim, to talk a little bit more about healthcare and IT. And Tim made a great observation that the nervous system is similar to IT. Or can you speak how you explain that to the kid?
But Ben and I were talking about it. We said, well, why don't we show them the data room? I mean, how good is that to show them what it actually looks like, and and that's when we started using the term nerve center. Okay. I started saying, this is the nerve center, and it just kind of, I thought, well, I mean, it is a clinic, and these kids are going to be coming around looking at all the medical stuff, so I might just throw that in there, like, if this was a living organism, if the building was considered a living organism, what would IT be? And that just was pretty clear that looking at all the cables and everything coming into our server room, that you could see, well, the nerves, obviously. Yeah. So I think that kind of resonated with the kids to where they could understand that. When they were, gathered around, and I was explaining that, if just like a human body, we can reach and grab and pick something up, and it's the hand that did that. The hand gets the credit. But I said, but ultimately, our brain made the decision, and our nervous system made all the actions that made it work. So is the hand really everything? And ultimately it's a network. It all works together. Yeah. It's not about IT either, and that's what I try to tell them is, I'm not going to pretend like we're the most important thing, because we're not. We're just a piece of the puzzle. Yeah. Yes. And we are a very important piece.
Very important. Don't discredit that.
No, a very important piece, but but it'd be like saying if you were, could a body live without a nervous system? No. So we all work together, and then there's no one thing that's the all important thing.
Yes. And I think that was a great analysis, a great example. I kind of took that, I ran with it. Now I want to play a little game on it. So if IT is the nervous system of New Health, can you tell me what would dental be?
Well, the teeth, obviously. We'll just say, how about the oral cavity?
Oral cavity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that there's more than the teeth?
Perfect answer. What would marketing be?
Marketing, I think, is going to be just that. Should I say handsome face, or I'll say that pretty face?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Yeah. Okay. And what about patient services?
Well, it seems like that would be kind of almost like your voice. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
They may not be the voice of the whole organization, but they are the voice speaking to all the patients on the phone. I'd almost feel like that calming voice. Every time I'm in patient services, by the way, I want to give a shout out to them because if I go over there, I don't listen in. I just go in and I get my stuff done and I get out of there. But I cannot help but just hear this soothing tone that's going on, like these voices. And I'm just like, wow. If I called and I was talking to these folks, I would feel really at peace and I would feel like I'm going to be taken care of. So that's what we want.
Okay, we love it. So IT's the nervous system, dental's the oral cavity, marketing's the face, patient services is the voice. Now what would finance be? I'm throwing a harder one at you.
Well, so we're still talking anatomy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, finance, I would have to say somehow I'd have to relate this to, that's a tough one, to be honest. I would say, I want to say like, the rear end where you hold your wallet, but I'm like, I don't want to call finance the rear end. By the way, that would be bad because, that's my paycheck and stuff. You guys are great. So I don't really know. I think I'll pass on that one.
Pass on that
but
one.
Yeah, definitely just keep the unedited version of all this.
Okay, yeah, that'll be for us. That'll be for us. Okay, a few more here. What about facilities management?
Oh, well, I don't know, but I would say they're like your arms and legs. I mean, they're going to make it happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
We don't get a lot done without our facilities management and our maintainers.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And final one, we're looking at medical. We did dental, looking at medical.
Oh, yeah. This is kind of a really good game, by the way. You put me in a really tough spot.
That's what I'm here for.
But, I would say ultimately when you talk about clinics, because, you got overall, medical dental pharmacies, all of our dispersed sites, each one of them would bring something new, something to the table. Medical to me is your overall health, your internal organs, maybe, I got a healthy heart, I got a healthy lungs, healthy liver, everything's good. Medical's taking care of me.
Okay. I love it. Well, that's how new health departments make up the medical or the autonomy. Well, I think that will wrap it up here. Again, I want to thank you, Tim, for your insightful conversation today. It was great to learn a lot about you. You had some great experiences. I hope the viewers enjoyed listening. So if you haven't, please be sure to go review some previous episodes. Give us a like and a subscription, and we'll go ahead and see you next time.
Thanks.